I don't often drink wine, but when I do, I prefer kosher. I sometimes hear people say that Purim is the Jewish Halloween, and I'm always saddened when I hear that. Yes, you dress up in costumes on both days, and there's some drinking on both days. But if you think that Purim's only about costumes and drinking, then you're missing out, because Purim is the holiest day of the year. You'll say to me, that's ludicrous. Yom Kippur is the holiest day of the year. But think about it. Yom Kippur is Yom Kippur, a day like Purim. It's a day where you can get almost as close to God as you can on Purim. Almost, but not quite, because Purim is really the holiest day. So why do we put on masks and costumes? One reason is that we're reminding ourselves that God, during the exile, is hidden. Esther, our heroine from the Megillah, comes from Hester, hiddenness. You could read the whole story of the Megillah and see it as a series of unfortunate events that ends up well due to a series of startling coincidences. Or you can see God's hand through every section, every chapter, every verse. And similarly in our own lives. If you want to see God's hand in your life, if you're determined to see it, you'll see it everywhere. But if you're determined not to see it, you won't see it anywhere. So we put on costumes to remind ourselves you have to look for God's hand. You'll find it. But there's another reason. We remind ourselves about the costumes that we wear the rest of the year. One time on Purim, a great rabbi was sitting at his Purim meal with his students. And one of the students got up and started imitating the rabbi. And the rabbi started crying. And his students, including especially the one who imitated him, came over and they surrounded him and they consoled him. They said, Rebbe, we didn't mean any harm. We didn't mean to offend. It was only good fun. It was Purim spirit. And he said, you didn't offend me. You just made me think. Maybe I'm imitating myself. I wear the black coat and I have the beard and the rabbi's hat and I look like a rabbi and I sound like a rabbi, but maybe I'm not really as great as I could be, as great as God would like me to be. I ask you, two people, two Jews. One of them is observant. He's wearing his yarmulke, his talis, his tefillin. He's in synagogue and he's davening. He's praying up a storm and he's saying every word, because he's memorized them, and he's saying them by rote. And while he's saying them, he's thinking to himself, should I sell my shares in Apple? I mean, Steve Jobs isn't there any longer. Are they going to be able to continue their string of successes? I think I'm going to call my broker later and maybe unload some of my shares. That's Jew number one. Jew number two is sitting on his couch, wearing an old tattered t-shirt and a pair of shorts. He's got a beer in one hand. He's got the remote control in the other hand. He's got a bowl of nacho chips on his lap, and he's watching a football game on his high-def TV. And while he's watching the football game, he's thinking to himself, you know, that class with the rabbi that my friend dragged me to was actually very interesting. And the rabbi did invite me to come again. I think I'm going to start going to that class. I think I'm going to start learning Torah an hour a week. Now, we were watching the video of those two, and we only had video, no audio, no access to thoughts, and you were asked which guy is closer to God. Of course you would guess the guy with all the trappings of piety, the talis, the tefillin, the siddur, the yarmulke. But you'd be wrong. God has access not just to the video, not just to the audio, but also to the thoughts that lurk in the minds of man. He knows which one is closer to him. He sees through the costumes. And so we may don masks and don costumes on Purim, but when we do that and when we take them off after Purim especially, that's the time to think about what are the costumes that I'm wearing the rest of the year. How can I get closer to God? How can I make sure that the way I look comports with the way I am, and the way I am and the way I think is always about coming closer. And let's hope that we use the holiest day of the year to achieve the greatest closeness to our Creator.
Happy Purim.